Welcome to our 2021 Christmas special. So, Kevin's here with a Yoda Star Wars Christmas hat.
Just keeping it festive.
Keeping it festive. I attempted to put this hat on.
Which was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Which was funny, but it looks more like a skull cap because it's a little small for my head. So rather than look like a fool the entire time, we're just going to leave it right here on the microphone stand.
More like a fool.
So we haven't podcasted in a while.
Been a while.
I'd like to blame it on Omicron, but we're not going to be able to.
It was Optimus Prime.
It's Optimus Prime. COVID. Kevin's family got COVID.
Yep.
And we had some other sicknesses in my side, so we just couldn't. Kids were out of school. You know what I mean. So anyway,
we didn't die. Sorry, Joe Biden.
We didn't die, right? You mean Brandon? Anyway, so we are in. Is this our third Christmas special? We started in September of 19, which means Christmas of 19, we would have had one. Christmas of 20, we likely would have had one. So this might be our third Christmas special.
We definitely had one last year. I saw the alert for that.
I'm certain we rolled around Christmas and would have had a different
Christmas.
Christmas.
This must be our
anyway,
third.
I don't know. We'll have to go back through the podcast banks and see what we have. We got a lot to talk about today. And surprisingly enough, Kevin doesn't know any of the topics that I have.
No idea what we're talking about
He is
today.
running into this blind. This was not a spur of the moment podcast, but this is something that we're just kind of planning. We want to make sure we get another episode out before the end of 2021. And we want to hit 2022 back in kind of a full swing, hopefully hitting every 2 weeks like we were planning on originally. But first things first. So Kevin and I were talking this past week about his kid's karate instructor. Okay. And that he believes or thinks or knows, I'm not sure, he can clarify this in a minute, that his kid's karate instructor, let me rephrase, his kid's martial arts instructor. It's not karate.
No.
Okay. It may be some amalgamation of all of those.
Correct.
But that his kid's martial arts instructor, Mr. Lee, I'm going to name drop, is a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
I believe that's what I heard.
Okay. So you're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, been a purple belt for a while.
Yeah.
So what we've been talking about is what would happen if Kevin just called this motherfucker out at the end of one of the kids' classes, right? I asked them point blank.
Rolled into the adult class.
Yeah, rolled into the adult class. I asked Kevin point blank, have you had the opportunity to ask this dude to roll? Okay, have you?
No, I wouldn't say I haven't had the opportunity to ask him to roll.
Does he know you're a purple belt, or does he just know that you do jiu-jitsu?
I think he just knows I do jiu-jitsu.
So you've never
we've never had a detailed conversations. He was this is when my kids first started, so little less than a year ago. He was not surprised, but he heard me tell one of my kids, I don't remember which one, that a front kick, it was a teat, right, in Muay Thai. And I remember he asked me about that, and I said, I did a little bit of Muay Thai.
And is that the extent of what that was?
That was the extent of the conversation.
I did a little bit back in the day. That's it.
Yep, and he knows I grapple. I think that came up during the introduction when he's getting to meet everybody. That came up as well. He's heard me coach. Sometimes when the kids, I don't normally coach the kids in class, but if they're, especially if Eli is close to the side where I'm sitting, I will yell a few things at Eli what to do.
Naturally,
right? I can't help myself.
Yeah, naturally. So before you answer any of these questions for me, can you give me this dude's measurements? Like, how tall is he? What's he weigh? What's your overall take on his athletic ability? What's his bust size? Because I know you're looking. Things like that. Before we start talking about you rolling with him.
Oh, yes. I want to say he's my height. So I'm 5'9".
Okay.
He may be 5'10".
Okay.
I really don't. I haven't really stood next to him, so he's probably my height. Definitely an athletic guy, right? He's a black belt.
So when you say athletic, are you talking about football player athletic, soccer player athletic?
So it's hard to say. We'll say,
or just karate athletic.
He's definitely karate athletic, right? He has the ability. He does all the pretty high kicks. He does them slow.
So flexible and strong with the legs.
Yeah. And it looks pretty too, which is hard to do. Sometimes you can kick high, but you can kick high slow and move it around.
Right,
Does a lot there.
Do that Chuck Norris style of booting or Jean-Claude Van Damme style. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I've seen him do forms. One of the things they do is the during when they're doing the promotions, right? They always show off some more of the advanced stuff, and they do
one of the instructors does.
Well, it's actually a group of them. They always do the water form actually. So sometimes it'll be 4 or 5 of them doing it at the same time, kind of in sync. So
have they ever done the Earth, Wind, and Fire form?
Not yet. I'm hoping so.
Okay, keep going.
So again, so it looks good. You could tell the movements there, right? And I've seen a little bit when I've gone to the class. I've seen him teach, I've seen him teach the adult class that we used to.
Does he show off when he's teaching?
No.
Like when he's showing
No.
he's showing like a sidekick. In my head, because I would probably do this. When you're like teaching somebody a sidekick, you're not teaching it at like the waist level or the chest level. You're teaching it at like 2 feet over their head level because you're super flexible just to do it because you can. Is he like that?
No.
Okay.
And again, the only time I would we roll in at the end of the adult class on Saturdays, so my kid would have, the first kids
adult class, then kids class.
Yes, well, on Saturdays, on the Saturday mornings. But anyways, they would be rolling. So they'd be rolling.
Oh, so they'd be grappling.
Correct, but he's grappling with some very big beginners. So
bigger than him though.
The one I realized that the one dad there is definitely in good shape, right? Got a little chubby, right? But he's got good sized arms.
So he's a man.
Shoulder. He's a man.
Yeah,
right?
Got it.
So I mean, there's definitely going to be some strength there.
Sure, certainly.
Right. But it's hard to tell, right? Because you don't know how hard he's rolling.
Right.
It's all new guys. So, but from an athletic standpoint, definitely looks like he would be a problem.
Okay.
Right. I mean,
a problem for who? Like somebody his size,
just an
somebody
athletic
matched
thing.
up. Okay.
Yeah, if he went all out and just used his athleticism, we can talk.
Is he more athletic than you? Like I
don't know.
He might be in better shape than you, but is he more athletic?
I don't know, right? It always depends who you ask, right? And that's one of those questions.
You're not in karate shape, right?
No,
you're not flexible at all, as a matter of fact.
No, and I never have
you're
been.
Practically board stiff.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, because again, it seems to be hit or miss. Some people will consider me athletic. Some people won't. And sometimes
all you
I surprise
fat fucks
people
who are sitting on the couch would probably consider Kevin athletic. Anybody else who actually trains would not consider.
Well,
you
no,
athletic.
It's usually the other way around, right? All the fat guys are like, you're not that athletic because I look like them. But the guys that actually train and have rolled with me go, oh, she's a little more athletic than you would expect. Yes,
yeah, okay,
that's really the problem.
So
right? I think I'm deceptively athletic. I mean,
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I've known you a long time,
sure.
And we played basketball and football together and stuff like that. So yeah, you're an athletic dude. So this dude is of average build, right? He's not like built like Lou Ferrigno or the Hulk.
No.
But he's an in shape kind of cat.
He's in shape,
and he's young.
Yeah,
25.
I have no idea.
You think 25? Like,
probably,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so he's 25 and pretty
between
decent
25
shape.
and 30, I would say.
And he does this for a living.
Yes.
Teaches martial arts for a living. He doesn't do any other thing.
Not that I'm aware of. I have not. But
so, and you've seen him attempt to teach your kids some type of grappling and then stand-up stuff and a bunch of other things, right?
Yes.
So in your dreams, because all men, and I don't care if you agree with me or not, because it's fact, look at other men and evaluate whether or not you can whoop that dude's ass.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just fact, okay? Like, for you guys who are listening and disagree with me, you're liars, okay?
Or you're not men.
It's fact,
yeah.
Okay? You eyeball everything up. Sometimes you evaluate situations. Sometimes you look at the room. What would I do if this dude came? Like, you try to assert your dominance introspectively, of course, right? But that's what you're doing. So, back to you. If you guys were to roll pure jiu-jitsu, okay? He's a blue belt. You're a purple belt. I'm just going to assume trains a little bit more than you, especially as of late. But when you're training a couple days a week I
would assume
is he doing jiu-jitsu more frequently, though?
I mean, I think they do a mix of everything, so I would say yes.
But
right?
Is
he's teaching class 5 days a week, right? And if those adult classes
and they
are
roll
5
for
days
30
a week,
minutes.
Sometimes they do more stand-up, sometimes they more jiu-jitsu, but they seem to always be doing something, right?
So he's training more than you.
Yeah, for sure.
Jiu-jitsu training more than you.
I would say more ground training than I am.
Okay.
Wait, but does it add up to the same when I go to class? Does it add the same kind of jiu-jitsu training?
Is it
I don't know.
Quality, right? Even though it's maybe more quantity, right?
Correct.
Is it the same level?
Yeah. Does he have the same level of training partners there?
So in your dreams, when you envision throwing down with this cat, right? Jiu-jitsu style only.
Sure.
We'll talk about the other stuff in a minute. When you envision in your head throwing down with this dude, and this is a multiple choice, do you A, have a good match with him because he's in shape, you're, relatively on the slower end of training or the lower end of being in the gym. B, okay, so A is good roll. B, do you think he wins? And then C, do you maul him like he's never done jiu-jitsu before and you've trained regularly for quite a while with killers and Jez has taken a little bit of time off? Which one of those multiple choice? And then D, none of the above if you want to fill something else in, but I think it's really A, B, or C. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Right?
This is a little bit unfair of a question for me, to be honest.
No,
I've got an ego and I've got a big head about myself. So, I mean, I guess I'm going to say A, right? Honestly.
You think it's a good roll?
And I think I win.
So you don't think you beat his ass?
No, I think, again, with the things that we talked about, I mean, he's got really good technique, and I've seen the things that he do. I think it works well.
But
So
what
that
have
makes
you
me
seen
question.
other than like super basics that he has good technique of?
Well, again, so
he shows your kid how to escape or do an arm bar, right?
I've seen him.
Have you seen him do like a bow and arrow choke? Have you seen him do?
Well, again, so
tricky?
I think I've never seen him roll with a gi. Right, so let's say it's going to be no gi.
Okay.
Well, again, just maybe the classes that I've been to, I don't go stalk out the classes or anything.
Yeah.
Right, and then the kids' gis they're more traditional karate gis than they are jujitsu
Of course,
gis.
they're ripping.
So
if you're
they would rip,
hard,
right?
yes,
Yeah, so they don't do a lot of collar stuff or anything with the kids.
Okay.
And the only time I've really seen him do any kind of drilling is with the adult class. Again, at the end when they're doing no gi.
So when you say he's got really good technique, mind you said he was a blue belt.
Yeah.
Is it good for a blue belt, or is he just decent in general?
I mean, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I just watched a few times. I'd come in and they'd be showing stuff.
Okay.
And it's tough because a lot of times he'll drill with the kids, right, to make it fun.
Sure,
Not drill, but he'll show off with the kids. Like he was doing some throws the other day, and of course he was tossing the kids around.
Of course, he's
which was
helicoptering
hilarious.
them and shit. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
It's hard to tell because I'm mostly just there for the class. But when I watched him do the technique a few times with the adults, because it looks like it's good technique.
Okay.
Right, but again, obviously being able to drill and being able to know the techniques is super important, right?
Certainly.
Right, but there is a difference between people who are super technical and who are good rollers.
People
sometimes
who are knowers and people who are showers,
and sometimes they're one and the same, right?
Certainly.
And sometimes they're not.
You hope that they're one and the same,
correct?
right?
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah. Well, he hopes they're one and the same. If we ever roll, I hope they're not, right?
Right. You hope he's just a knower and not a shower.
Well,
I get it.
Well, a little bit of both, right? Because I want someone good to be training my kids. I would honestly hope that he would whoop the crap out of me.
So what if you wreck him? What happens if you go in there and so let me set the stage for you. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. It was a dark and stormy night. There's a little pitter patter in the house, and it's your little girl running up to you, and she goes, "Daddy, where are you going?" And you're like, "I'm going to try out a new adult class at this martial arts school that we take your brothers to." And you hop in the whip, and you're psyching yourself up, and you got Eye of the Tiger playing in the whip, and you're driving over to the joint. You got your jujitsu shorts underneath some like wind pants or some sweatpants. Knowing you, it's some sweatpants with holes in them, and you got your full like workout shoes on that are actually like business dress shoes, and you got a t-shirt on, and you're ready to go. And you get there, and you open the door of the car, and you're prepped and ready.
So before we move on, it's not Eye of the Tiger. I really like this speech called like "What if you were blind?" But keep going.
Okay, I don't know that, so we'll have to talk about that later.
See one time.
So you get out of the car after you pull into the parking lot, and maybe you sling your bag on your shoulder, and you walk in, and you're like, "Listen, I'm ready to go here."
Really don't like this picture you're painting.
I'm setting the stage, right? So you roll into the building. You take your shoes off because you're respectful. Maybe you
bow onto the mat, right? That's what they do.
You thank the dude for letting you do the adult class. Right. And let's say, since I'm assuming it's not a grappling only class, let's just say you putz around for the first half an hour doing the stand-up shit, the stretches, the calisthenics, all of the other good stuff. And then it comes time to roll, right? In your head, do you start on your knees, high five and pound? Or is it like a wrestling match up front?
So I think it'd be more on your knees with a high five and pound, just from what I've seen.
So traditional kind of jiu-jitsu style rolling. Okay. So you're on your knees, in the common parlance in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you get a warm-up roll with one of the new guys, and you're able to like do what you need to do, right? It's a warm-up roll.
Sure.
Maybe he's rolling a little bit harder, but you're a purple belt.
It would depend who it was, right? But
sure, but whatever. You're able to warm up with somebody, and you get limber as you can be.
Yeah, I pull in a guard, right?
Yeah.
I start working some things.
You start working your things, and you loosen all the way up, and you're prepped and ready. And you look over at Mr. Lee, and you're like, in your head, you're like, all right, it's time to bang, right? Just let me bang, bro. And so you ask him if he wants to roll. Excuse me, sir. Could I bother you for a roll? You might not use those exact words, but right, I'm telling the story, so shut the fuck up. And he says, of course, I'd be happy to roll, right? It's his class.
Yeah.
He's the instructor of the class, right? Regardless of the quality of your jiu-jitsu or not, he's the guy in charge.
Yes.
You ask him if he wants to roll, right? And how does it go?
Well, So first of all, we're on our knees, right? First thing I would do, I would look to lock an underhook. I would look for a left hand underhook. Be the first thing I would do.
Let's rewind.
Uh-huh.
In my head, it's no-gi.
Yes.
Okay. So we're just in my head.
We already discussed that, right?
Go.
Right. Yep. So I'm going to tell you right now. This how I would see it, envisioning it would go, right?
You're not cupping the back of the head, looking for an arm or a wrist grip.
No.
You're going for an underhook.
So kind of. So I'm going to look for traditionally the same thing in your head. I'm going to put my forehead into his chin. right?
Sure, you're going to wrestle.
I'm going to wrestle.
On your knees, right, you're gonna wrestle on
our knees. The reason
You're
being,
not just going to let him take side control?
no. I don't know what I'm dealing with here.
I would.
You would.
I
right?
would. Of course,
but
I would let him take side control.
I know. I would definitely would not.
Okay,
Maybe
so
I would,
you're gonna battle a little bit.
Worst
more.
case scenario, I would sit right to guard. Would be the worst thing I would do.
Do you sit right away?
No.
Or do you actually wrestle?
I would wrestle. So
Okay,
because I don't know who I'm dealing with here, right? I want to get into the best position for me, and we've rolled a lot, and we understand that if I have a decent guard, but if I'm looking to win, I want to be on top, right? That's where I need to be, right? I've got
you guys all out there in podcast world, listen to this because it is true advice for everybody. Be on top. It's much easier to win on top.
Yeah. Well, and again, it depends on your game. It depends who you're rolling with. I've rolled with guys. I remember in the past when I would train all the time, they were guys that I would roll with, and I would remember the first one to sit the guard was going to win.
Okay.
Right? Because it was just.
Sure, at that stage,
it was just whoever's
got a better guard than they do.
And for both, it was hard to pass each other's guard.
Okay,
right. So, and when you were starting to make the mistakes, a lot of times we would get caught. So it wasn't 100%, but whoever sat the guard first ended up getting either a good submission or a lot of times a good sweep, ended up on mount and then able to control.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it was always something like that. But anyway, so when I don't know who I'm rolling with and I'm looking to win, right, I'm going to go to the dominant position.
Side control mount.
Right. I'm going to look to side control. So I would look, and again, I'm a heavier guy.
Underhook and pass. Or
I would look to, kind of underhook, or,
you
maybe
like
not
that
a
body
deep
lock
underhook.
and
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, it would be on our knees more, but the same thing, even when we're standing up, same thing. I would look to, hug, get in close, underhook, put my chin into it, my forehead into his chin and push him over.
Okay.
So that's what I would look to do. Right. So I would say, again, cocky me,
sure.
Right. I would think,
certainly.
Especially if we look at I would look at what the class looks like too, right? He may be a little bit surprised, but anyways, I think I would win that battle, and I think I would put him down, right? And I think from there I would work for finishes.
Do you think you're stronger than him?
Don't know. So that's where the problem, because again, we talk about the athleticism and things like that. I don't necessarily know for sure. Of course.
You think smoother?
Yes.
Okay, so
I'm not smooth. Even when I was training all the time, I was never smooth.
Qualities.
Yeah. So,
but you don't know if he's stronger than you.
Correct. I don't know if he's stronger
than pound.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if he's stronger than me, I wouldn't expect there to be a significant amount of strength stronger than me. So the idea would be I would use my my extra weight, and the fact that I just have weight, even if he is 200 pounds, 200 pounds on top of it is not fun.
No,
right?
Absolutely
and
not.
I have decent pressure,
okay.
so I would look to wear him down, and I would look for submissions from there. I would look for some side control stuff, and I would actually transition the mount when I could. Just even though I'm not a great finisher from mount, look to wear him out.
Just to beat him up a little bit on top.
Yeah, and I would look to just wear out, assert my dominance.
Chokes kind of things.
Well, no, we're no-gi.
Well, you can still Ezekiel choke.
Yeah, but I'm not. No, that's
farm into the neck kind of stuff.
Yeah, nah, I'd be looking more
arm
arms.
bars. Okay.
More Kimura Americana kind of stuff.
All right, gift wrapping maybe.
Yes, definitely gift wrapping. Maybe if I can, force them to, turn. Yeah, I would look to do a lot of that. I look at a lot of beating up because again,
do you find that you think that's going to be challenging, or do you think you're just going to have your way with the man?
No, I think it would be challenging. I think again because he's got good technique. He knows what he's doing, and worst case scenario when he'll be more athletic than I am,
right?
And so he'll be able to beat me to the punch sometimes. So I think it'll be, I think it'll be challenging. So again, I would look in there to just dominate.
Do you only tap one time?
What's that?
Do you only tap him once? Let's say you guys rolled 5 minutes.
I don't know.
Is it a one kind of tap?
I don't. I think that's that. I have no
3
idea.
Times? 2?
I think that would depend on how dominating those positions were, right? And then it would also depend how quickly the first tap came. So let's just say, as an example, I know we're kind of going, more scenario. We're very scenario.
So excited.
But and with anybody, right? If I get on top of someone and I pull him down and I Kimura or Americana him, in this case, what I was thinking, right away, right? Boom.
Right
from there, right? And then, okay, it's a 5-minute roll. We're going to high five and pound again. If I do that right away, the next time we start rolling, I'm sitting guard. Right away.
Because you've set a tone.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've set the tone.
I get that.
And now that I know I can dominate, or I feel like I can dominate, even if I got lucky,
right.
I'm going to be a dick, right? And I'm going to assert my dominance from a different position.
According to Jason Dent, you got a mean triangle armbar combo. You got means flower sweeps or scissor, whatever.
I've got really. I feel like I've got pretty good flower sweeps. I feel like I got really good flower sweeps.
So you're trying to get back on top eventually, anyway.
Well, sure, but I want to do it from the bottom.
Sure, of course.
Right. So if I get on top of a guy and I have my way with him.
Right.
I submit him right away. Right.
Yes.
I am looking to in a situation. I'm looking in this situation to now assert my dominance from a different position. Right. So I'm going to go to guard. Right. I'm going to look for that sweep. I'm going to look for that triangle. Those are the two things that I'm going to look for. Right. I'm going to look for a triangle into the scissor sweep. Right. I want to win again. Right.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense.
So, and again, so a lot of that would depend on how that went. So again, say I sit the guard, say I go to mount, it works really well because I'm bigger than he is, right? Plain and simple. Boom, I go to mount, and then if I go to guard and it doesn't work as well, right? And I have some trouble whether I get tapped or not, as soon as we get back.
Wait. What do you mean you're getting tapped from
So
guard?
whether no, like he gets out, passes my guard, right? No matter what happens there, right? How that scenario goes, if my guard doesn't go well where I dominate again, I'm going back so I can get another tap in, right? That would be my goal. Whether that happens or not, right? I would find out. And again, I would look to assert my dominance one more time, right?
So let's rewind. Do you go in guns a-blazing on this motherfucker off the top?
No, and I guess
you try to feel him out. You know he's the instructor of the grappling class.
I don't.
Do you just think that highly of your own jiu-jitsu skills that you're not going to try to like give him what you got? I mean, I'm curious to what the dynamics like. As a black belt, I would go in and not roll very hard.
Yes.
Right. I would feel him out for the first couple minutes, and then if I find out he's decent enough, we're going to have a great roll. Well, if I find out he's not decent enough, I'm going to have a great roll, and he's going to probably not have as much fun. But I'm not going to like beat him up.
Yeah. No. And again,
do you go in to beat him up?
No, I don't go in to beat him up.
But he's a blue belt.
I don't go in to beat him up again because of the environment that's there. We're not talking about a random person. We're talking about a class that I take my kids to.
No.
That I enjoy. I enjoy taking my kids to a guy that I really like as a teacher. You know, the interactions that I have with him. So that matters to me. So
but
when
I'm
I go in there,
not asking you to go in and fight the motherfucker.
No,
I'm asking you if you're going to roll hard.
I'm going to go in there at a respectable pace, and I'm going to let him control the pace. For the most part, right? I'm not. I'll be honest. Once we get into that roll, I'm going to be winning, right? If he's going out of 50, I'm going out of 52, right? If he's going out of 60, I'm going to go out of 65, right? If he hits 80, I'm probably hitting 87.
Going in to win.
I'm going in to dominate positionally, right? That's what I'm going to do. I don't necessarily need to win, but I want to look like I'm winning.
So you don't care if you tap him. You just want to dominate him.
Correct. And
interesting.
I don't want to. Right now, I would say, I wouldn't do that, but we're going to be honest about this. As soon as we high five and pound, I'm going to want to, right? I can't help it, right? And sometimes I can roll nice. And if he sucks, I'll roll nice. I'll let him, you know what I mean? But even if he sucks, I'm going to dominate him if it's a 5-minute round. I'm going to dominate him for the first 2.5 minutes.
Sure.
And then I'm going to roll nice. I don't want to do that.
When you say you roll nice, are you going to let him sweep you, or are you just going to
let him work like you do with a white belt?
Yeah, okay.
Right, or a blue belt, right?
You're going to let him work.
I'll let him work, right? I don't think that's what would happen, but I think it would be a good rule. I
firmly believe you would go in there and wreck that dude. I've seen you roll with really good people and smash them, and I gotta believe that this dude is splitting his time between sometimes grappling and sometimes doing stand-up, that he's not going to be as crisp or as even well-versed as somebody who trains regularly.
Well, yeah, and again, a lot of it's going to depend on the style, too, because it's funny, as we talk about it, especially now as I'm older, I'm a slower roller.
Do you care what style it is?
Well, yes. So I'm a slower roller.
Okay.
But ironically enough, what I used to do pretty good when I was training back and forth was guys who were really fast and athletic. I was able to do a good job of grabbing them and slowing them down. Right. So it's funny.
Their
so guys who,
movements,
and just controlling their movements, doing, being able to essentially anticipate where they want it to be. It didn't always work out, but I always did a good job of that. So again, a lot of it would just depend on the style. If he's more of a slow...
This is what I think is going to happen to Kevin. He's a giant pile of shit. So that's what I'm holding up, guys, is the poop emoji.
So I wouldn't go in there. Anyway. Let's just, the recap.
Yeah.
On a personal level, I would not go in there to dominate him, right?
Certainly.
Right, you know what I mean? But
you would go, not to win, but dominate.
I would not I would not go in there to win or dominate. What would happen when we started to roll, because I'm still a jerk that we talked about, I would probably look to. And I think it would be a good roll. Because I'm assuming he's cross-training, he's doing other stuff as well.
What happens if he wrecks you?
I'm excited.
Okay, let's set this stage. What if he wrecks you? And let's say you're able to, at the time of the wrecking, right, or the reckoning, or whatever you want to call it, right? At that particular point in time, you're like, oh my God, this dude is phenomenal. It reminds me of rolling with a Adam or a Rune, right? All black belts, or a me, or somebody else. It reminds you of that. I'm okay. Maybe not me, somebody else, but it reminds you of the last time you got wrecked by like a really good black belt. Does that pique your interest a little bit more, or do you invite him to come train with us? Do you just end the class and go, you know what, I'm bringing my kids back and I'm going back to the drawing board? What happens?
I think a lot of it would depend on the conversation of where we were. If it's a good roll and he wins, right? and maybe it's
no. He wrecks you.
Oh, if he wrecks me, If he wrecks me, I think we finish class out, we end class, and the relationship goes back to where it was before. Because I don't think he's asking. Well,
you just slide out.
I just slide out because what am I going to do? Oh, you should come to our class.
Why don't you come train with us, man? You're good, dude. You could be really good at jiu-jitsu.
Well, he already is really good at jiu-jitsu because he just wrecked the purple belt from across the street.
Yeah, but he's not.
So why?
But the one purple belt from across the street.
Sure, the worst purple belt.
Irregularly trained.
Yeah. Nonetheless, right? But how do you start that conversation off with, hey, you wrecked me, but there's other people that are better, I swear.
No, if you want to get some better rolling in this class,
I don't know.
Do you want to come over and take a couple classes with us?
If that conversation kicks us off naturally.
Because he's a really nice guy, right?
Yeah, really nice guy.
He's a really nice guy.
If that conversation kicks off naturally, yes.
Okay.
Right? I would invite that conversation in. But let's be honest, if he just dominates me, why would that conversation kick off? Right? He beats me, rolls up with a couple other people.
You should tell him, hey, man, I'm a purple belt. You just beat up a purple belt, or do you just kind of slide out?
I think I just tuck my tail between my legs and dip out.
And you just kind of slide out.
Yeah, because
I get it. I understand completely.
So to go back, and one of the main reasons I would do this, and I told you this story, we're at one of the picnic, right? The yearly end picnic for this, and I'm BSing with one of the kids who's an instructor who also does the jiu-jitsu, and we're just kind of talking, and he kind of mentioned something about I told him I was doing it, and I can't remember how it came up, but we were talking about
One of the other instructors. How old is this kid?
I have no idea. Somewhere between 18 and 22 at the oldest, I think.
Black belt?
I think so.
So he's a badass. In that world, he's a badass.
He's pretty good.
Okay.
I think he's good. He's a good instructor.
Okay.
I really like. Nice kid, good instructor, great with the kids. So I like the guy.
Is he big?
I know. No, real small.
Okay.
Real small. Like
jockeys, like a horse riders kind of jockey.
No.
Just a small dude.
Okay. He looks like an 18-year-old kid. Right.
Yeah.
But he's got like a beard of like a 25-year-old, so it's weird to tell.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right. So it looks like an 18-year-old with a 25-year-old's beard. That's exactly what the guy looks like.
Sweet.
But anyways, so
does he grapple?
Yeah, he grabs a little bit, and he was talking about it. He's like, oh, and he was saying something, and I didn't mean to, and I do it on the podcast all the time. I said, I came off a little cocky, right? And I caught myself coming off a little cocky, so I tried to tone it down. And he said something like, oh, you should talk to Mr. Lee about coming to the class sometimes. The guys really like,
but
maybe rolling with you.
But did he say that because he thought he'd wreck you because you were talking shit? No. Or was he just being nice?
Super nice.
Okay.
Super nice.
All right.
And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'm going to paraphrase it. But I pretty much said, I don't know if I really want to come slumming it with you guys. Like I was going to whoop the shit out of him. Well, I didn't say it's slumming it, but I definitely said...
You said it with that tone in mind.
No. I didn't mean to say it with that tone in mind.
Yeah, but you did.
No. I said it's super friendly, but it's like it was more like... Yeah, like I'll probably just whoop the shit out of you guys,
Kevin.
man. I don't know if I... Yeah, and I told you, I felt like a dick afterwards because that's not what I meant to say at all. And I said it because, as we just talked about for the last 20 minutes, I'm kind of a jerk.
Right.
So,
okay, right.
And most of the class that I've seen is terrible, right? And they're all new. They're not jujitsu guys, right? They're martial arts guys. That doesn't mean and this kid is smaller than me, way smaller than me. Right, so would be rolling with it. You take another purple belt who I'm 195 pounds.
Yeah,
lost some weight.
Yeah,
but if you take another purple belt who's $160,
right,
they're gonna have a hard time with me, even if they're better than me, right? Because that's 30 pounds.
Yeah,
right. So this kid here, I'm gonna wreck him, right? Just because he doesn't train the amount of jiu-jitsu, doesn't train as hard as we do, and I'm bigger and stronger.
Yeah,
right, bigger, stronger. So
you're talking shit to an 18-year-old,
maybe 25
black belt in karate or martial arts, whatever they call it.
I didn't mean to, but yes, I did, and I still feel bad.
Did he like take it as you were talking shit? Did he, like,
no, the nicest dude in the world, like just rolled with it and kept going.
So how'd
with
you fix it?
I didn't. He just talked. He still talks. I still walk in the class.
Fix it. You're like, dude, I made it come off a little.
I didn't realize. I realized it, and I tried to fix it, and then I think I made it worse, probably. And then but it's nice because I see him in class, I'll come with my kids, and he's still nice to me, so friendly.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like it was off-putting, right? He's still the same guy to me. So
he's never called you out and be like, hey.
No.
Fat piece of shit. Let's roll.
Yeah.
Next time your kid's got class, bring some shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah. And preferably one that fits, and we'll roll.
I don't have shirts that fit me anymore.
Okay. But he never he's been really nice.
Yeah, he's really nice. Yeah,
got it.
Attitude. Yeah, so maybe he took it the right way. Right?
You
maybe,
hope, right?
Yeah, well,
I mean, shit.
I'm not sure if I care. I mean, I do because he's a nice kid. So
yeah, and he's the one who's molding your children into being martial arts assassins,
correct?
Right?
Yeah.
So you do hope that he doesn't hold it against them because
maybe it'll help. He starts beating up a little bit more, a little bit.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. So I want to switch gears a little bit. Okay?
I feel bad.
And this
for
is more of a
saying
current
I'm gonna
event.
beat up the karate school.
Yeah, no, I wanted to get to the bottom of that, right? Because I think it's kind of comical. But this is a more serious, more current event question. And I don't want to spend any more than a couple minutes talking about this topic,
Okay.
right? But I just want to get like your first impression gut feeling.
Okay.
We talk a lot about self-defense. We talk a lot about preparation. We talked with Mr. Jiu-Jitsu about how he does, he thinks like gun control is really good. Not gun control as in like government gun control, but being able to handle a gun or a weapon, right, is paramount to,
anything you do to hand yourself in a dangerous position, any kind of self-defense,
exactly.
whether it's guns, street,
but
fighting.
I'm leaning this towards guns because right now we are in a current scenario where that woman police officer is on trial for pulling her gun rather than her taser, and she accidentally pulled the wrong weapon.
Okay.
And she shot a guy. Okay. She's on trial right now, right? It's kind of a big deal. Let's exclude all other things that might have happened.
Yeah.
She pulled the wrong weapon.
Yes.
Okay. Fact.
Yeah.
Right. We don't need to even think about anything else. Is she guilty?
Yes. So
she's a police officer.
I don't know the whole story.
Me neither.
And I'm taking this thing. So
that's
again,
why we're doing it at face value.
Yeah, face value. Yep. I don't know anything. So here's the problem. I would say. Let me. I don't know if she's guilty or not. But so here's the
but
whole
you just
thing.
Said
that I think.
Yes.
I did. But
are you backtracking?
I'm backtracking.
Okay.
I'm backtracking.
Okay.
Just like I said, I'm going to beat up your whole class. Oops, I didn't mean that. You're probably going to get schooled by you guys. Also,
spur
I'm backtracking.
of the moment decision.
Spur. So here's the problem. Right. Here's the first problem that I have with it. Right. Obviously, you're a police officer. Right. So I believe that you should be trained to a certain level. And I believe you should be trained to that certain level to where you're going to pull out the appropriate weapon at the appropriate time. Now, that doesn't mean mistakes don't happen. Situations are there where you're scared and some mistakes are made, right?
Right.
So the next step was if you pull out the wrong weapon, as an example, if I pull out the gun instead of the taser, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's right, but I'm okay with the situation. But two things need to happen. One, the police officer has to be trained enough, whatever that means. Right. I don't know. I'm not a police officer. To be able to understand that, this is not a taser in my hand. This is a pistol, right? You have to know that, right? And then secondly, you have to have some sort of scenario, I guess maybe two different scenarios where one, you are able to remedy that situation, where you're able to switch off. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if that's possible or not, but there has to be some way to remedy the situation or handle the situation appropriately with a pistol and not a taser. And it sounds like from little I know about this, I have not kept up with current events with, like you said, being sick, getting back to work, all those kind of things. Right. To be able to then handle the situation appropriately with a loaded weapon. So the next question is, okay, she has a loaded gun, right? She has it pointed at the suspect. Was it reasonable that she pulled the trigger, right? With all those things that happen, that becomes the question. And it does matter that the fact that she should have pulled out the taser first, right? You can't say, well, you would have shot him with a taser, so you would have shot her with a gun. There has to be something different that doesn't happen. If I'm going to shoot you, as an example, I know this is a good example, but I'm just thinking off the cuff, right? If with a taser, I'm going to shoot you in the chest, right? With a gun, I'm going to shoot you in the knee, right?
I don't think they do that. I think if they're pulled the trigger, they're shooting for the chest.
No, I think
it's similar. But I think it'd be too hard for them to try to.
I feel like
have that distinction, but I don't know.
But I feel like there should be that distinction. Again, not a cop, not understanding training. Wish Bob was here. To be honest, we could talk through this.
Bob Bemis back on here.
Yeah, definitely, and have some arguments about why even devil's advocate version of why it wouldn't work. But so in my mind, and again, uneducated, don't understand any of that kind of stuff.
Sure,
I would think that taser is chest, right? So taser is anywhere because it's not technically you think it's non-lethal.
Sure, right?
A shot should be in a relatively non-lethal area.
I don't believe that's the case at all, but
I think it should be.
Okay, all right.
I think
it's not the case.
Yeah. I think it should be.
I know
it may not be feasible.
Right.
But perfect world, right? I should be able to shoot you in the shoulder at will.
Let's add another avenue to this.
Okay.
She's been a police officer for 25 years.
Okay.
Okay. Does that start to change your opinion at all? That she wasn't a brand new, fresh out of training officer.
No. If anything, it kind of makes it worse because she should know better.
I don't disagree at all. That's what I'm saying. I think it exacerbates the scenario even more.
A little bit because again, I've been in high stressful situations. Obviously, probably never to that level.
Of course.
So I understand.
So in a split second,
yes,
people around her are screaming taser, 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 or she's screaming taser, 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 and she intends to pull out the taser. in the blink of an eye, let's just call it, right?
Sure.
Because that's probably what it felt like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the blink of an eye, she reaches to the right side rather than the left side, pulls out the 9 rather than the taser, and kills the man. Okay, I just looked it up to make sure that I was saying this correctly. She kills the man.
Yep.
I'm going to add another avenue to this here in a minute that exacerbates it even further. But if we talk right now, a 25-year veteran of the police force intends to pull out a non-lethal weapon, pulls out a lethal weapon, right? Not the Mel Gibson kind, but the actual gun kind, and shoots the man immediately. Okay? He dies. Do I believe in my head, just with all of that information and what I know, that she intended to kill the guy? No, because I think the scenario was probably intending for her to pull out a taser.
Sure.
Right? To immobilize, incapacitate, whatever.
Just so you're on the same page, I don't think we have enough, even with the scenario that you laid out.
And we don't.
To even make that determination, but keep going with it.
And I'm talking it out in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't believe, and she's getting charged with first degree murder and second degree murder, right? First degree premeditated, right? Kind of that like real big deal. And I think there's a manslaughter charge in there as well in case the other counts don't count. But with all of that information, we don't have enough to say.
You got to look at the situation of what's happening, right, why she pulled the gun out of the guy.
But let's say all of the evidence points to of the evidence. Her testimony, everybody was around her, right? Give or take, who were on maybe more blue than not blue.
Sure.
The people around, right? She wasn't by herself. They're like, she's screaming taser, or people around her screaming taser, but she pulls out the gun. Let's say she made an accident. Yeah. Let's just, for the sake of conversation, she had an accident and pulled out the wrong one.
Yeah.
What should happen to her in that case?
So this is one where
because if you or I did that, we'd be in jail forever.
Maybe. Right? And I think
if we pulled out the wrong thing, sorry, I meant to tase him, and I didn't.
You gotta look at state rules. Like, there's so much more that goes into it.
We'd be in trouble,
right? Because look at the. I don't want to dwell onto this, but look at the kid, Kyle. What's his name? I just forgot. With R.
Rittenhouse.
Yeah, right. Look at him. He's free because it was self-defense, right?
Yes.
But anyways, that doesn't matter. Like that was the ruling. But it goes back to it. So this is where I have trouble with it, right? Because in my opinion, in my utopia of a world, and I like to think about this stuff from a utopia standpoint, and then step it back.
Sure.
Right. It's just my mentality with this. I do think that we should, when we talk about assigning police officers to this, they should be held to a high standard. I don't want to say a higher standard than us, right? But they should be held to a high standard. So again, what I talked about before is if she pulled out the wrong weapon, she should either remedy the situation so the right weapon is out, or if that's not feasible, there should be a second or third option. Correct. Yeah, it probably wasn't.
Right,
again,
likely
living
it wasn't.
in a utopia, she should be able to quick draw and come it out.
Oh, I pulled the wrong thing out.
Spins it around, puts it back in, pops the other one out.
She rolls it a couple times.
Yeah.
Does like a dirty Harry kind of thing, and then pulls out the taser.
She did do a dirty Harry kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
It was inappropriate, and I apologize.
Yeah. You should.
No. So I don't. This is where I struggle with it, right? Because again, I want to automatically say we should hold police officers to a high standard, right? They should be able to deal with these situations and make the right call all the time. But
so that's the highest standard.
Correct.
Making the right call all the time.
And there's
no room for
correct.
Any leeway
and that's an
there.
impossible. Yeah, correct.
Sure.
And that's an impossible standard to set to, right? So I don't know here, because we got to have so much more than this, and so much what has to happen.
And that's why.
So I feel like I don't know if she should be charged with. I would say first degree is out of the way unless you can prove that she went in the intent
to,
right? Went and intended to do that, right? I don't know about any kind of manslaughter. But I'll be honest, I don't know if she should ever be a police officer again, right? Just right off the bat. I don't know. I'm not saying she shouldn't be or shouldn't be, right? But if you make the mistake where you kill a person that you shouldn't have killed.
In the capacity of your fully trained duties,
yes.
You probably preclude yourself from ever holding that position again.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
You did the worst mistake imaginable.
Correct. You did the worst mistake imaginable. And again, I think there's levels to this, right? If he was chasing after somebody with a knife and he shot him with a gun.
Totally different. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I don't know that that's
correct, but I'm just saying that's a different scenario, and that's something we could talk about before, where that did happen, where another woman, it was kids. There was like a 16-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl was lunging at another girl with a butcher knife and shot her, and the cop shot her. right? And I feel like while it was a hard decision, it's hard for me to judge his decision because in his mind, in that split second when you saw the whole video, he may have been thinking, I'm saving another woman's life.
And
so,
to me, that's a totally non-analogous.
So, yeah.
Example.
So, in that case, maybe you should have took the taser out, maybe not. I don't know the rules of engagement in that case. But in this case, if it's proven that she was 100% negligent or 80 to 100%.
Pulled the wrong weapon in her own words.
Correct. She pulled the wrong weapon, but there's more to it than just that. But if she's 100% or 80%, I don't know what the percentage is, but if she's really negligent in her decision making there, no longer a cop, right? That's the first thing right there.
Before you continue, she pulled the wrong weapon.
Yeah.
Isn't that immediate negligence at the highest level imaginable?
No.
She pulled the wrong weapon.
No. I don't think it's at the highest.
Why?
Because I think we have to look.
She did not, and I'm going to put words into her mouth just to carry on the conversation. She did not intend or want to kill the guy. She wanted to tase him.
Sure.
But she shoots him with her gun and he dies.
Yes.
Isn't that like the epitome of the worst decision ever, and you broke all of the rules of everything you've been trained to do?
I think you have to look at the direness of the situation as well, right? So if you're going to rate the dire of the situation, we're going to keep it very simple and very stupid. If you're going to rate the direness of the situation from a 1 to 10, right? If it's a 5 and you pull the wrong weapon, that's worse than if it's an 8 and you pull the wrong weapon. And who sets that standard? I don't know. That's where the judge and
what if the 8 is the line where you tase and the 10 or higher is the line where you shoot, and she's at an 8 and she pulls out the 10? She's wrong.
Well, again, she's wrong, but I think it's different if your situation is at an 8, right? And you pull out the 9.
Sure, right.
I didn't mean that, but if you pull out the 9 or 10, yeah, right. I think that's not as bad as if it's at a 5. Right.
Okay.
So again, because the situation is more high stress, the higher stress the situation is, the more likely you are to make a mistake. Plain and simple.
Certainly.
Right. So the mistakes.
But you just said not too long ago, and I don't want to dwell on this much longer, that they should be held. You didn't say highest, but you said that they should be not make mistakes at all ever.
Well, no. I said that's where ideally where you want to be.
Right, right.
And you've got to step it back. So I'm stepping it back to realism, and I don't know. I don't know what that level is, and
I'm sure it's happened before.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know what that level is. Yeah, I don't know where that level is, and it's one of those things.
So where do you lean? Do you lean on the side of she needs to be in jail for a long time and never be a cop again? Where do you lean? And then this is just off the cuff because we don't have any more information.
I'm not even going to try to make that decision because I don't even understand, which is probably available out there, what the situation was like. If she rolled up on a barbecue and a guy became violent because she was in her backyard, I probably lean towards jail. If she went to a scene of a crime, right? Then I got to think a little bit more about the scenery. I would like to see
much more of the evidence and see where I'm at. At face value, though, much like I agreed that Rittenhouse was probably doing self-defense, maybe a poor decision maker up front for going in the first place, but I think justice was served. In this scenario, at least at face value, if she admits to making the wrong call, she's guilty. Right?
Yeah. I guess
she fucked up.
I guess I agree she's well, guilty, but how guilty of what?
And let's not, we don't need to talk about sentences. She's wrong. She probably likely shouldn't be a cop again.
Yes.
Right? And likely she'll never be anyway, because I'm sure the emotional toll, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend her or put words in her mouth. But interesting thought.
On face value, I would definitely think about it. I think this would be, like I said, a whole big, much longer conversation like you would talk about.
Yeah. We need to get Bob back on here.
Definitely.
I'll work on that.
Yeah, we definitely should. And maybe some preparation for this weekend. We lay out some scenarios, really talk it through.
Know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, he'll know what it's talking about. We could have some prep questions, right? A little bit, maybe some idea from both sides.
So moving along.
Hope you got something happy now.
I do. Recently, I got a chance to promote a bunch of kids in the kids class. Your child wasn't one of them because they're doing martial arts and not Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But he likely had his own promotion not too long ago.
Actually, he did.
On the same day, probably, Thursday of last week.
He's a red belt now. Somewhere you'll never be.
Interesting. I'll likely never be a red belt. I was a red belt once in Taekwondo many, many, many years ago. But yeah, likely never again. But I want to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
And I think it's comical, and I was really, really excited. So we had this new little girl start. Actually, her and her sister started. I'm not going to name drop, but if you're listening out there and you know who I'm talking about.
I hope there's not a little girl listening to this podcast.
Well, parents or whatever, right? Or other coaches, you know who I'm talking about. This little girl started. She's easily the smallest kid in the class. Okay. And with that, least experienced and smallest. Her sister, a couple years older, obviously much, much larger. So they can't actually roll against each other. We have roughly, let's call it on promotion day, 12 to 15, maybe a little more kids there who were looking to get promoted. Okay. One got a new belt. Everybody else was getting a stripe. I've decided to lax my stripe standards a little bit. Okay. I was very hard-nosed, and I'm still hard-nosed about attendance.
Yeah, as you should be, I think.
I'm hard-nosed about attendance, but I'm less hard-nosed at the early belts for their precision when it comes to technical excellence.
So let me ask about that.
Sure.
Why? I know you don't want to dwell on this too much, but why?
So
what came to that decision?
I've been thinking about it quite a bit, and I also restructured the striping so I can end up getting one full belt in a year, calendar year, for the little kids. There's a million belts. So,
sure.
So every 2.5 months is going to be a stripe, and then the last 2.5 months after their fourth stripe puts us at a new belt, right? Which is roughly a year, give or take a couple days, right?
Yep.
If we're looking at weeks, it might be 53 weeks instead of 52 weeks or whatever. So because I was noticing that because I was so hard at giving stripes and because it took so long to get stripes, a couple of the kids were aging out of the kids class at gray belt, which is, it goes white, gray, white, gray, black. And I've only ever given in 5 years one gray black belt. Okay. So I was thinking about it during the COVID break, and I decided I'm going to be a little more lax when it comes to the stripes. I'm not going to be as lax when it comes to the belt promotion, though.
Okay.
The fourth stripe after into the new promotion, I'm not going to be as lax. They want the new belt, they got to earn it, right? And follow all of the guidelines that I require. But so this little girl was training for about a month and a half, not even 2.5 months, maybe closer to 2 months, but not quite 2.5 months that I would have requested or wanted. But they were there all the time. She tries super hard. She's little. I make her roll with some of the other newer, smaller guys, or I should call them boys. They're not guys, for the new smaller boys who have not a whole ton of skill either, but are still also trying a lot. But she's physically outnumbered and outweighed and outmatched by them.
Sure.
And she's small. She's got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that she's a little girl is really not part of the equation. It's just I thought it was exciting to have a new little girl in the class.
Sure.
Because we have a lot of girls, and we have a lot more boys now.
Oh, really?
In the past, it used to be we had a lot more girls.
Yeah.
We have a lot of boys now. And what I would expect, right? Statistically, you would expect probably more
boys than girls,
and girls, and especially
combat sport
/ wrestling-esque kind of martial arts. So I was really excited when she came and her sister came. The dad does jiu-jitsu with us, super nice guy, and has a hot wife too, by the way. So nonetheless, that's topic for another day. Yeah. So we were doing back control for the first half of or first quarter of the rotation, right? I'll call it the 2.5 month rotation. Back control. We did some guard passing. Okay. And we did, just some other stuff that kind of flowed in with that. And we did a lot of positional sparring. Okay. Hey, take this person's back and we're going to start from a seatbelt, or we're going to start from the harness, right? Everybody be prepared that the rear naked choke is coming when we start on the seatbelt, but that's what we're going to do. So really good, this little girl, really good at the positional stuff. Okay. Put her in a dominant spot. She can hold it, right? Until she gets not holding it. And then, she'll
do a good job holding it.
She'll do a good job holding it. And she's, getting tougher and and we make them spar on day one.
Yeah.
Okay. Day one, they're sparring. They're rolling. They're under a watchful eye of an instructor on day one, but they're rolling. So likely overwhelmed at the start. Of course. Yeah. Right. Not just her, but her older sister as well. Yeah. Likely overwhelmed. It's a culture shock. Yeah. This is not playing soccer, even with aggressive soccer people. This is not playing basketball, even with aggressive basketball players. This is mano y mano.
Yeah. And what you do differently than a lot of kids' classes is they choke. They armbar.
We work
they do a lot
right
of
for
things.
the submission.
They work for the submission. A lot of times it's a positional thing. It's more like a wrestling, a control kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's It's different than a lot of other even combat sports,
Correct.
martial arts schools.
Yep.
Where no matter what your age is, you're rolling.
And they're under a watchful eye. But yes, you're exactly correct. They are. We're looking to roll just a little less organically and more. I match them up every single time.
Yes.
So anyway, she's been doing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister doing really, really well as well. But she's a unique scenario.
Sure.
We had a new kid start.
Mm-hmm.
Super nice young man. The family seems great. The mom's super nice. They're about the same size if he's not a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in with one stripe on his white belt.
Okay.
Used to train somewhere else. Came in. Super nice kid.
Yep.
And he was around the right size to match up with her.
Sure.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, he already had a stripe. I didn't get a full dossier on his background of what that looked like, but I know he trained a little bit over the summer with his dad.
Yeah, what the stripes mean, because they mean different things at different schools. Like my kids get a stripe for having a good sport. Like they get a blue stripe.
Yeah, I'll never do that.
Well, they're different colors and things like that. They mean different things. You get an orange one if you're really good in class.
And let's be honest, martial arts discipline is dramatically different.
Yeah, you get a white one for training good, right? So there's different colors. There's different kind of...
So he's got one.
Sure, so he had no idea, but he's got one.
No idea. He seemed like a nice kid. I watched them roll a couple other rounds, and I thought, maybe against my better judgment, I'm going to let them roll, right? Size, I got a finite pool of people that she can roll
that makes
with.
sense. He's got a little bit of experience. They're both of the same size. And even though they're kids, it's less important. He's still a boy.
Right. And it's still under one of our coaches' watchful eyes. But it's, I have a very small pool of people that she can roll with, especially if we're not doing positional sparring. We're just doing normal rounds.
A new person kind of makes sense. Build up her confidence.
Makes sense. So I have them roll.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think either of them win the match as we would usually decide a win.
Sure.
But she tried super hard. She got on top a couple times. He rolled her over. He got on top a couple times. We're at the point with some of the new guys or gals or kids where when you get mounted, put your hands on your belt, push your arms out and pick a direction. Not straight up, just pick a direction, right? It's something easy. We can yell at them if they don't know exactly how to escape from mount. Put your hands on the belts and push them towards the door or to the bathroom.
Oh, I like that.
And it's quick and easy, and sometimes they get a nice roll. Now, if the person on top has a little more skill, they're able to capitalize, and that doesn't work all the time. But for somebody brand new,
something to work towards, something to
work towards, you're not stuck on the bottom.
Yeah.
First, protect your neck. Second, if they're not attacking your neck, put your hands on the belt and pick a direction, right? Not the chest where everybody wants to grab because too flexible at the chest, but the hip level, you get them off you push them around. So anyway, she did that a couple times.
Use that, by the way, for now. And I always think to try to more technical, like I would do with adult. I really, really like that.
Nope. Yep. It's a good one. And the kids, they catch it. It's quick. Put your hand on their belt and pick a direction.
And the ones who get it, and the ones who really understand it, you can go to that next step and more advanced.
You can take the next step and you can, start capturing the arm and stuff like that, whatever you want to do. So I was really excited over, that was on a Monday.
Okay.
Thursday was going to be promotion day.
Okay.
Right. She's impressed me the whole time she's been around. All the kids have, right?
Sure.
Super, super impressed. And then it came time to do promotion day. Okay. And at promotion day, I already know who's getting promoted.
Of course.
Okay. So for everybody listening, there is not that one day where you could magically show me or change my opinion. I already know who's getting promoted based on attendance, based on skill, based on who comes in.
A week out. You have 99% of the people done. There may be one that you're going, if they show me a lot this week, we're going to be good. If not,
absolutely. No. And if you're on the line,
you're probably going to go down before you go up.
Absolutely. Right. And
do they keep going hard?
Sure.
Or do they slack and
I look for three things. Okay. First thing, and I'm gonna exclude actually four things, but I'm gonna exclude the one because we talked about its attendance, right?
Sure.
If you're not in the gym, you're not getting promoted. And for some of you people who are listening to my podcast who train with us, that goes the same for the adult class too. You can be a killer on the mats, but you ain't getting promoted if you're not in the gym training with us.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you hear that, Kevin? Right? Your brown belt's on the horizon, right? Like far away. Yeah. Like distance, right? Like we can see Canada from here, and it's like 500 miles away, or however many miles away, and it's that far.
It's setting with the sun.
Yeah. So you just got to be there, right? It's kind of an unspoken requirement. It's spoken now for the kids class. You got to be there. I used to take attendance on paper.
Yeah.
I might go back to that.
I think you
don't
should.
do that. I didn't do that this last stripe. I'm going to go back to that because, we're getting a lot of kids, so just remembering who's all there all the time. And B, it did give me a quantitative measurement to tell their parents when they don't get promoted. Here's the number one reason.
They use a card system at the martial arts school.
Oh.
So the kids, they have these cards over on these boards. The kids go over, grab their cards.
Okay.
Right? And then they stand up in line, and then one of the other kids grabs all the cards from everybody before they line up, hands it to one of the professors, and then the kids line up. Now they have this stack of cards sitting off to the side. Somebody else can go through there and just quickly mark it. Whether it's, the end of the class, the end of the day. And there's a lot of classes, so this makes sense. You don't have to go there with a piece of paper.
What other information does the card have? Let's talk about
their
that in a
name,
minute.
papers, things like that. But anyways, I just really quickly.
No, that's interesting.
You're right. Make the kids grab the cards. A little bit of discipline in there because that's a big thing, with you as well. Right? They grab the cards, they put it on there. Now you have a stack of cards. And because you do one kid's class a day, right? You have 24 hours, 23 hours, right? To update it.
Interesting. Okay. That's not a bad idea.
No. Yeah.
So I look for 4 things. Attendance, we'll call that out.
Yep.
The second one I'm looking for is kids who come in and actually want to be there.
Of course. Okay?
First of all, my kid does never want to be there. I have to fight with him. We've had this conversation before. I force him to come. He is 95% of the time not wanting to come to jiu-jitsu on Mondays and Thursdays. 5% he does. He did want to come during promotion week because he knew it was important and that he probably
wants
should
to get
be
promoted.
There. He tries really hard most of the time when he's there. There is a lot of the times where I wish he'd shut up a little bit and stop being like his father and talk all the time. But that
switch hits, right? He doesn't want to be there. Hard. He doesn't want to be there. And then he'll be there and he'll be attentive. Yep. I would say when I was there with it, 95% of the time, he's a good student.
Yeah.
And then there's that 5% that he goes from being a terrible student, right? He goes with his father, right? And all the kids are that way.
Yeah.
Right? You're just,
it's not exclusive to my kid, but it's probably exacerbated
more because
it's
your
kid. My kid.
Yeah. For 2 reasons. One, he's your kid. 2, because you're paying more attention to him.
And I have a lot of kids who genuinely want to be there.
Yes.
And here's the criteria that I look for. I look at their face when I pinpoint who they're going to roll with.
Okay.
And if their face is I got to roll again, or I got to roll with that person, I make a mental note.
Yep.
If they get up and say nothing, or are jovial about it, that leads them in a different direction. Sometimes, depending on who I assign them to, it's great. Sure. Sometimes if I assign them to somebody who's going to beat them up or is going to be a little bit better, right, I get an attitude of, oh man, nobody's turned me down though. Like when I've enforced it, sometimes it's like, hey, do you want to roll with him?
Yeah.
And they say no, I'll accept that.
Sure.
But I've never called somebody out and they're just like, I'm not rolling with him. Okay?
Yeah.
It just never happened. So I look for that. I look for a general understanding of the moves that we're working on. Okay.
Sure.
Take the back, show the seatbelt. Take the back, show the harness grips.
Yeah.
Take the back, show me this. Here's a bonus. Do you remember when I showed you guys the bow and arrow choke one time last week?
Yeah.
It's a bonus. Hopefully you guys were paying attention because it's a great move. If you got it, great. If you don't got it, it was optional anyway.
Sure.
Right? I need this guard pass. I need the guard pass that we worked on. Show me. If they push the leg down and jump over it, not such a big deal. If they pin the leg down to the floor and slide over it, keeping pressure, that's even better. And I do expect a little bit more out of the older kids than I do the little kids, right? Obviously.
Makes sense.
And then the last thing that I look for is their ability to put it all together when we're rolling. Okay. And I don't care that they win. And one of the little girls in the class goes, when I ask, hey, what do you got to do to get promoted? She goes, tap our partners out. And while I appreciate that, and that is the mission, right? For everybody listening, that's the goal when I high five and pound with somebody is to make them quit, right? Is to win by submission. We'll leave it at that, right? Some people I want to put unconscious, some people I want to hurt, right? Whatever, right? I'm kidding. I don't want to do that to anybody except you. But so I explained to her, I was like, do you guys really think I care if you win? Like, I don't care if you win, except for Kai. I want everybody to beat Kai. Right. And I do want to see. In your
head, you want everybody to roll with Kai really, really hard. And you want him to beat everybody.
In my head, I want him to win every match.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't come close to winning every match. He's starting to put it together. Sure. He's starting to get that. Well, I'm not going to let this dude get side control because I'm never going to get out. But so are all the other kids.
Yeah.
So it's fun. And we have a lot of kids all around the same size.
Yeah.
Right around my son's size, he's 10. So we got a lot of like 10-year-old-ish size. So, and I'm looking for how they put it all together. I don't need them to be excellent, but if they're laying there flailing, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Right? If they're crying, which I don't care a lot about, to be honest. I think kids should be able to cry. life is hard.
Yeah.
In the middle of somebody trying to fight you, you're a little kid. You don't know how to deal with that yet. I am okay with little kids crying. I'll pat them on the back, and say, hey, you're all right, right? Normally I do, how many fingers am I holding up? I always hold up 2, and they're like 2. And I was like, you're done. You can't, you're injured now.
Yeah.
Right. And they chuckle and it breaks the ice. And then somebody says, well, you always hold up 2 fingers, so we don't even got to look. Well, that's not the point, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't mind that they cry sometimes. I don't mind that they get frustrated. I've been frustrated.
Yeah.
When was the last time you rolled and not been frustrated?
Yeah,
right? I get frustrated every class.
If I'm not frustrated, I'm not rolling with the right people.
Exactly. And right, jiu-jitsu, as we talked about many times on the podcast, teaches you how to be comfortable in those uncomfortable environments. You don't just get that from walking into the door of the jiu-jitsu school.
No.
So little kids crying doesn't bother me much. And I want to support them as they're going through that. But kids who cry more frequently than others and use it as a crutch rather than
more
just
of a whine than a cry.
More of a whine than a cry is probably more articulate.
Yeah, I don't mind. Same thing in my household. I don't mind crying. If you're hurt, you're mad, you're sad. I don't like whining.
Yes, and there's a huge difference.
Yes.
And I don't even care if the kids are crying and they're not injured. They're just like mentally frustrated and like broken down. And hey, this was a hard role.
Yeah.
Jeff's kid Odin. Balls hard.
Yes.
When he rolls.
Tough kid, yeah.
Tough kid, gritty, did some wrestling, has a couple moves that work phenomenal. The minute you high five and pound, you know he's coming in hot. And some of the kids aren't ready for it.
Yeah.
Right? Some of the kids aren't ready. And, but swinging this all back to, I got to promote the little girl and give her a stripe.
Okay.
And I was super excited. It was just one of those things. She's a cute little girl. She had a huge smile on her face the whole time.
Yeah. Smaller than everybody else.
Smaller than everybody else.
Worked really hard.
It worked very hard.
Yeah.
At a dramatic disadvantage.
Yeah.
And I got to give her a stripe.
Sure.
So they came back in this past Monday.
Yep.
Just a couple days ago.
Okay.
And I asked them, I was like, you guys excited to get a stripe? And their dad's like, yeah, they're both super excited, telling everybody they got promoted in jiu-jitsu. And I was super excited. But I think about this. I wish I had started that young. You know what I mean? I played baseball. Yeah. Like literally all my life growing up, played baseball.
Yeah.
My brother and I have a twin brother. We both played baseball. We were competitive amongst each other to play baseball. Yeah. We were pretty good, right? Played baseball all the way up till, past high school. And we were pretty stinking good at baseball. And now that I've been into jiu-jitsu, I don't know what other sport I'd want to get my kid into that I think gives the benefits of jiu-jitsu that meet the, maybe we're just sadists, right?
Yeah,
or masochists.
Sure.
What is a masochist? It's probably masochist because we want that to happen to us, right?
Well, I'm
a sadist because I want my kid to go through that same kind of grind and battle. And I think about some of the other sports. He's played soccer.
Sure.
He's never played baseball, but played soccer. Played basketball, for like YMCA stuff, and it's a little less competitive, more free form, open to the public kind of things. But when I think of jiu-jitsu, I'm super proud. The reason we're telling this story is because I'm super proud of all of these kids, right? And your kids too for doing the karate stuff.
Sure, whatever.
Like, right? Just getting out there and doing something.
Sure.
We limit it to from 8 to 15.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have any 15-year-olds. And likely by the time somebody gets to 15, they're probably too big for my class anyway.
Sure, because there's not enough of them right now.
If they're mature enough, they slide into the adult class a little bit early. No big deal, right? But we got some little kids and some like 8 to 10 to 11 and 12. And we got this kid, I call him King Mo, okay? And if you guys aren't familiar with MMA, there's a fighter, King Mo, who once got knocked out and just like dropped to the floor. And on this kid was like a month in. Yeah. And he got taken down and he just planted, right? Just stiffened up and like hit the floor. So anyway, I call him, his name's Joseph, but I call him King Mo. Really like the kid a whole lot.
I'm glad your ridicule goes to the kids as well, right? Make one mistake and you got a nickname for life. I
tell these kids, listen, I'm going to give you, I asked some of the kids, do you have a nickname? And then I go, I don't really care if you have one already because I'm going to give you one that's likely going to be negative, but will be funny. And it comes out of a place of love more than, me making fun of it. So I call this kid King Mo. Love the kid. Yeah. His brother does jiu-jitsu in the adult class. He's a great kid. And he tries so hard and it's starting to click for him.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about some of the other kids too that are coming up. Tiny, of course. Coach Steve's daughter is a monster. And we got a lot of things moving. And I wish I had something like that when I was younger, because I didn't.
Sure.
Like baseball, it wasn't that. Our coaches were, here's baseball for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You got your teammates. There's always somebody who's the best on the baseball team, and then you have the slugs on the baseball team who are the worst. They're going to play right or left field. They're going to play the first 3 innings of, and back in the day, we only played 7 innings. We didn't play 9. They're going to play the first 3, and the good ones are going to play the whole game.
Yeah.
And the guys who are a little bit better in the middle of the road are going to play the last 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the good players are going to be shortstop, pitcher, or third base or catcher.
Sure.
Right? Second base could be a little mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
First base had to be decent, but you usually put the left-handers there.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the extension and the reach.
Of course.
So I think I didn't have that. It wasn't a grind. It wasn't a grind playing baseball like jiu-jitsu is a grind. And I see these kids are buddies. Mm-hmm. They're in class. They're making friends.
Yeah.
They want to roll with, the kids who are around their size, right? Of course, the little kids complain when they got to roll with a bigger person, but that's fine. It's really exciting, and I'm really excited. We're like 5 years into this kids class, and it's going great.
Yeah, and it's funny we talked a little bit about this beforehand, but when you use your baseball thing. So I played baseball when I was a kid as well, and I was the exact opposite of you. I was the worst kid on the field.
Interesting,
right?
Left field,
left, right field, sometimes center. Right? I played up to.
You played center when all the other
it didn't matter.
Good kids were gone.
No, the kids couldn't hit that far.
Right.
This was nobody's hitting that.
Especially first 3.
Yeah, and then and then there's always someone runs this. If you're center, the other person's supposed to back you up.
Sure,
right. So in case it goes over your head or something like that, it wasn't a big deal. But luckily, I was terrible.
But you were fast,
so I could steal bases. Okay.
Yeah, I bet.
Right. I was always a decent runner. No, but I got hit a lot with the balls. I mean, I got a lot of base. I got walked a lot, and I swear.
Why does that not surprise
like once
me?
a game, I swear to God,
You took a shot?
I would take a shot, and I would cry every time.
Interesting.
Right until like the second to last year I played, and then I wouldn't cry as much. Like I think that half of the season. So I swear to God, maybe I'm exaggerating, but as a kid, I remember taking a shot to the side at least once a game. I swear that's what it felt. Maybe I hugged the plate too much. Obviously, this was not when B-ball and T-ball wasn't there.
Right.
But anyway, I played through T-ball a little bit and B-ball, and I was one of the worst kids on the team all the time, every time. But it was the exact opposite. Like there was a schedule. Everybody played so many innings and things like that.
Right.
And then it was funny because my dad's really good friend was a coach of the team. Okay. So I was always picked, even when they had to do the tryout.
So you were like affirmative action picked.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, but even
like a
before,
legacy pick.
Like T-ball and B-ball, there was,
Nice.
I don't remember how they did that. Honestly, I remember the first year I had to do tryouts, right? And I was better than what I showed on tryouts. But I remember I'm playing shortstop. They knocked the ball over, and usually I could jump in front of the ball and get no problem. Somehow this thing skipped right past me, right? So I knew I saw it coming, and I don't know what I did, but I made a mistake. So anyways, I got picked on his team just because I was probably the last pick because he knew nobody else was picking me. And doing my dad a solid, right? And they may have had enough.
Your dad bribed him.
They were friends.
This
you know what
dude
I mean?
was getting lunch for a week straight.
It's you picking up Eli on the baseball team, right?
Right. I'd pick him.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, my last pick, I got to pick him.
I'd pick him.
And but anyways, so I remember again, worst kid on the team, or one of the worst kids on the team, always playing there. But towards the end, we got to try different positions. I remember I got the pitch for an inning.
Oh, nice.
Right? I didn't have an arm. I still don't have an arm. Right? I probably
Did
still
you know
could
how to throw?
Barely. I probably still couldn't pitch.
Did you strike anybody out?
I think I hit a few kids. Got a little bit of revenge, and that was it. Right? He asked me what I wanted to do. I said I want to pitch. He said, okay, you can pitch. I don't even know if I pitched a full inning. Right?
Do you remember how many throws you got?
I don't know.
How old were you?
No. Oh God, I don't know. It was like the year after B-ball, so I don't even know.
Interesting.
Old enough that there was a pitcher, right? But I only think I played 1 or 2 years, and then I got into like soccer and other things around that age.
Okay.
But it was the exact opposite, where really we got to build up, we got to try those different things. And when you talk about the grind, one of the things that I felt like, even the completely non-contact sport, but what I would run very hard at first, and I would always at the end. I remember in high school. We'll go to high school. I ran the 800 and the 400. So if you don't know, that's twice around the track, once around the track.
Fast kids.
Well, not at first.
Okay.
So one of the things, one of the problems was I didn't train hard enough. I didn't grind. Right, and like you said, I didn't have that grind. Well, what happened is, in my senior year, right, I decided to move with the sprinters. So we'll talk about track. It was similar in cross country, but it wasn't as good. I decided to go with the sprinters. Right,
and cross country long distance anyway.
Yeah, that's 3 miles. So this track's 4 because I had a decent 400 time.
Way too long.
Right, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, I was decent enough that I was going to either be the 4th member on the 400, or I was going to be the alternative."
Okay,
right. So I was struggling in between there. So I went with the sprinters. And one of the things about practice was it was hard. right?
Okay.
It was harder than like go run 2 miles and then come back, right? Because I didn't push myself. I had somebody in my ear yelling at me, go as fast as I can for the short distance, come back and do it again.
Oh,
so when you talk about a grind, right? I had that mental grind where I didn't have to, someone wasn't pushing me as in physically pushing me. Someone wasn't pushing against me. It became a me against me kind of thing and a me against the coach that was yelling in my ear.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Which
your drill instructor.
Your drill, yeah. And that's how he was. And that's how he was in class. You know, nice guy. Wasn't my favorite person in the world, but was a good coach.
Sure.
Clearly, because I went from running a not even competing to winning the Metro Championships. You know what I mean? In a year. So that
you
grind,
ran with some fast kids, man.
I did. But what would happen anyway? So I'd run at the end of the race, and you come around the last bend, and then you got less than 100-yard dash, but you got that last 75, 50, 70-yard dash, whatever it is. And I would come there with one of the biggest cramps we ever felt. Right? It just terrible, tired, hurt, in pain. Right? Because I would be running so hard, and I would push myself that last whatever it was. And if me and you were dead tired, right, coming around that bend, I had more heart than most of the guys that I was running against, and that's why I would win at the end of that, right?
Now you have a bigger heart than most.
It's true. Bigger stomach too, right? So again, you talk about that. There was a lot of that I learned in those non-contact sports,
right?
From a mental standpoint.
Sure.
And I actually, some of that is the reason why I feel like I am mentally tough in some of those positions, especially when we talk about jiu-jitsu, where I am tired all the time.
Sure.
And I tell people, if I had a regular gas tank, people would be in trouble. Because
and the running joke is if you can last 2 minutes, the first 2 minutes with Kevin, you're solid.
Yeah, because I'm pushing myself hard 90% of the round, right? And you're pushing yourself hard 50% of the round.
Sure.
Like, what if I could push my, you know what I mean?
What if you could extend that?
Yeah, like mentally, I'm tougher than people realize because I am super tired already.
You were tired of walking to the mat.
Yeah. So I guess I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think it depends on a personality too, what you get.
Sure.
Again, just two totally different experiences. You said baseball, it was really cool. I got to try different things. I got to feel good about it. I got to play.
But
evenly.
you didn't have that coach in your ear forcing you to.
Well, no, we had that more, again, the age group, we had that more supportive coach that let you try that.
Right.
You know, they did force you to do stuff. They made you try it over again. It was a helpful support that you needed that kid, right? And then also when the track, a completely non-contact thing really helped push some of my grittiness.
Interesting.
Because again, like I said, you'd be surprised. You're like, oh, you're not, but if you're running, I was running down a hallway, right? Because we would start in the winter. We wouldn't be outside. Running down a hallway, running 50 yards. The third time you do that at full speed, right? Mentally, you want to quit. Right. And to be able to push yourself another 5 times through that, was really, really helpful. So I think it depends on the person, the personality, the presentation that you're in. But I think when you kind of quickly mentioned this, what other sports give you that, I think you got to pretend, what are you actually looking to get at from that sport? Yes, you're not going to get that same grind, that same, person on person that you do from a wrestling, a jiu-jitsu, maybe a couple other, judo, all those kind of things there. But I think from a, especially a basketball standpoint, they say how many miles people run in basketball is ridiculous. The jumping, the shooting, the defense.
I'm not saying those aren't tough.
No. I think some of that's I think some of that stuff translates not directly but indirectly to these other more physical combat sports more than people do. More than people give them credit for. Right? I think they can translate it. Does that mean because you're a great basketball player that you're going to you're going to be great at jiu-jitsu? No, it doesn't mean you're going to be physically tough, right? Someone may be stronger. You'll
be physically strong.
Well, you may be physically athletic.
Is a different thing.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And you may lack a lot of that. Maybe you lack the physical strength because you're not lifting. You're not looking to lift bodies, right? You're looking throw a basketball.
Sure.
So, but I think some of that mental fortitude can still be pushed there, and sometimes some of that physical stuff just from a different aspect. You talk about bringing people into deep waters, right? Maybe you're bigger, stronger, faster than I am. Right, and we talked about this a little bit before.
Kanye?
Yeah.
Keep going.
But maybe I'm going to push you. All I'm going to do is survive, and I'm going to survive for for 20 minutes. Right. So we're doing a submission only, which we do a submission only tournament, right? I'm going to push you for 20 minutes, and then that 25 to 30 minutes, you're done. Right. You have nothing left. And we've seen that. You see that in MMA all the time. Guys push the limit. They survive for the first 2.5, 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden it's over with. Right? The guys are dead. Right? It's always a joke about the Diaz brothers. If you give them enough time, they'll win any fight. They'll beat up King Kong. Right. Because King Kong is going to get tired, and they're not.
Right. Speaking of submission only, I don't want to say this confirmed yet. Right?
Mission
6, bitches. Right? So it's a possibility that here in the first quarter of 2022. Mission Submission 6, the revival, might happen. Okay.
We got to give everything a name. I love it.
Yeah. I'm calling it the revival. Okay. If it happens, still waiting on final confirmation. If it happens, it'll be March 19th. Okay. That will be the date. If we can't get that date, it won't happen. Okay. This is, just due to the ensemble that we're working with. But cross your fingers, say a little prayer, reach out, touch a star, right? Mission Submission 6, the revival.
Got your star. Not a star.
Not a star. It's actually a giant pile of shit, which I named Kevin. Anyway.
It's the star of the show.
So, all right, last question. Okay. We're getting down to the wire. Last question. You sit down at Christmas dinner.
Okay.
You've been waiting all day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you most look forward to as you sit down at the dining room table for Christmas?
So here's a bad problem here. So Christmas dinner is not a big thing for us.
I don't care. You're sitting at like a family Christmas dinner. You will sit down and eat somewhere or do something somewhere with your family. What are you most looking forward to?
A Christmas dinner?
At Christmas, coming up in a couple days, what are you looking forward to the most?
Does it have to be a Christmas dinner? Because again, Christmas dinner is not a big deal.
But you're going to go to some family party and eat somewhere.
No.
Yeah, you will. Or you're going to eat at home.
We're going to sit at home.
Yeah. So, so what are you most looking forward to?
That first moment when we go downstairs. So our Christmas tree is in. We have a split level, but it's really more of a basement.
Okay.
So our Christmas tree is downstairs in the basement.
Yep.
So what happens is the kids wake up. At 6:30, they wake us up. I say, shut up and go back to bed.
Give me another hour.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
They wake us up at 7. I say, fine. Right.
Okay.
And we all go down together.
Yep.
Right. We all go down together. And that first moment when they see the presents, that's the moment I love the most. Right.
Okay.
And they open the presents. They're happy. We play a little bit afterwards. And really, it's a day about just hanging out and relaxing. But that first moment when we go down there and they're there. They're
right,
there.
Right.
That's
Santa came.
That's what I wait for, the most exciting part.
Do they believe in Santa?
Yeah, they're still Santa kids.
It's still okay.
Still Santa kids.
Yep.
And then an extra added thing that I'm really gonna love this year is Eli, I don't know where he got this idea from, but somewhere on his videos he's got this idea where people apparently, they tape over a door, but yeah.
Pizza versus nachos, by the way, on YouTube.
Pizza versus nacho on check it out.
It's Kevin's kids YouTube channel.
It's fantastic.
Pizza versus nachos.
Yeah. So anyway, so they want to cover the door frame, the open door.
Yep.
I should
lamb's
do
blood,
this
so they don't get.
I should do a shut door so they run into it.
Right.
But they want to do it with wrapping paper, right? And they want to bust through it. So
I just made a biblical reference. You didn't even chuckle at it.
I did. I did.
With lamb's blood.
Yeah, no,
God
I
damn.
definitely chuckled. Sorry, I was really excited for this.
So they wouldn't get murdered in the middle of the night. Okay.
But anyway, so he wants to run, to smash through it, like it's a football game because my kids will never play football.
Okay.
Right? Not that he. I don't think he realizes it's like a football game thing.
Yeah, but he just
saw
wants
it
to
on
break
YouTube.
through.
So yeah, he wants to break through with it. So I'm really excited this year. He brought it up a few times, and I didn't say anything. So when I go to bed Christmas Eve, I'm gonna go downstairs.
Can you record it? Because there are plenty of videos where they just run right into it and it doesn't rip through.
Oh yeah, and this is ripping through because my kids are clumsy. They'll fall.
Okay, they'll tumble through.
It'll rip. Right, and we buy the cheap wrapping paper. Anyways.
No, I got it.
So unfortunately, it's going to be a thing that doesn't have a door on there, or I'd shut the door and let them run into it, especially Eli.
So I was leaning towards a little more like food related.
Yeah,
you were looking for.
So that's why I had to switch it up.
You do. I know you guys sit down and somebody makes a ham or a turkey or some shit, and you guys eat some shit. Or your wife cooks like chitlins or something because she's Bosnian. Or
I asked her to make this Bosnian chicken pita.
Okay,
I don't know if she's going to make it for you. I don't know if she's going to make it or not. Okay. But again, so
you guys don't eat anything on Christmas?
We do. We just eat whatever she feels like making. It depends what we feel like.
You guys like mac and cheese on Christmas Day?
Probably.
You guys don't have like a formal.
So we have now.
Like when you go over to your family's house.
Okay. So all right. So
you're gonna have a dinner, right?
So we have no. So we went over to
Jesus
last week.
Christ! Why is this so complicated, Kevin? I want fucking ham. Okay, we deep fry a turkey. I want deep fried turkey, and I want ham. So that's what I want.
We have pizza for our Christmas Eve. It wasn't on Christmas Eve. Our gift exchange party. Homemade pizza. We make homemade pizza, but more importantly, it's about the snacks.
Sounds fucking terrible.
Oh, it's good.
Homemade pizza on Christmas.
Oh, no. This is the Christmas Eve party.
Whatever.
It's my family party
Christmas,
that I go to. Yeah. No. This is great. The pizza is fantastic because we're doing the gift exchange and everything. But more importantly, my aunt makes this bean dip.
Okay.
Like a chip
aware
bean dip.
Of what dip is.
It's a little spicy, but it's not too spicy. It's got a lot of flavor in it.
Yeah.
That and then water chestnuts covered in bacon. Those are the two things that I look for when you're talking about food. This isn't Christmas. This is Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve
is
still about
Christmas.
Yeah. Well, when growing up, we had a Christmas Eve party for the gift exchange. We had a Christmas party as well. So
But it's all still Christmas.
Yeah,
You're not doing it for
2 separate parties.
That's fine. It's still Christmas.
So anyway, so Christmas Day, don't really care so much.
Okay.
Christmas Eve,
Right.
this bean dip and bacon covered.
You guys ball hard on Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's always snacks, right? It's like yeah, and it's the snack. The pizza's good, right? But it's secondary. Even dessert is secondary to like
to these fucking water chestnuts.
The water chestnuts wrapped in bacon. They put that little, I don't know, whatever the dip is like ketchup and Worcestershire sauce or whatever. I have no idea.
Interesting.
Oh, it's so good.
Are you sure they're water chestnuts and not dates?
No, they're water chestnuts. No, they're they're crunchy.
They're delicious.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so good. Yeah. That and then the bean dip. The bean dip is my favorite. I actually got a. Because my aunts are older, obviously, so I got a Cool Whip jar full of not Cool Whip container.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They're not giving you something fancy.
Well, no.
Use Cool Whip container.
I always return it. They're like, "Don't bring it back," and I'm like, "Here you go. I got your dish.
Here's your Cool Whip. That's probably been gifted 47 times over the last 20 years."
God, I hope not. You start getting cancer from those things.
Whatever.
But yeah. So food wise, it's Christmas Eve, and it's those 2 things. I actually don't even care about the entrees as much.
Okay.
Those 2 things. There's a couple other things that are really good.
But I'm a huge mashed potato fan too, and ham gravy. Oh shit!
So Thanksgiving, little mine mashed potatoes. I'm a stuffing guy, but it's got to be the stuffing that was cooked in the turkey.
Before you continue, no one give a fuck about Thanksgiving right now, okay?
Well, listen,
we're talking about Christmas.
We're talking about food. We're talking about
Christmas.
If I could get my wife to make a turkey on Thanksgiving, just so I could eat
on
Christmas. Sorry, Christmas. Right, just so I could have the stuffing inside, I'd be okay with it. Yeah,
we deep fry a turkey and it's so good.
Yeah, we used to do that.
God. God.
But meh.
Listen, for somebody who has your rotund physique, you think you'd care more about Christmas dinner?
No. Again, I want the snacks ahead of time, and then whatever. My wife's a decent cook, so whatever she makes, I'm happy with.
Okay.
Yeah, Christmas is about the morning for us. The food is secondary on Christmas. Every other holiday, I can give you some, what I'm looking forward to.
I would say the food is as equally as important as the camaraderie with the kids and the family.
Yeah, not for me on Christmas.
Oh man.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Shame on you.
Thanksgiving, even Easter. Right. I look forward to Easter and what we always have. So, but
interesting.
Yeah.
On that
also,
note,
4th of July, hot dogs. I love hot dogs, by the way.
I am also a fan of like grilled accoutrement and deliciousness. So hot dogs, hamburgers, grilled chicken. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Enough about that. So, guys, thanks for taking the time out of your schedule to listen to our 2021 Christmas podcast special. Kevin's here with his Yoda hat. We also have my own personal little Kevin. Kevin, this little Kevin just sits on one of our couch backs that leans against the wall and just kind of sits there, ever so staring at a giant pile of shit. And I call it Kevin. Anyway.
I hear your wife cuddles with it at night, just like me.
Hey, whatever. At least someone's cuddling with her. On that note, guys, have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas festivities with your families or not your families, or have fun at work. All right, have fun opening gifts, whatever you guys got going on. And 2022 should be exciting. I got a lot of cool things in mind for what the podcast might turn into. And, we'll keep
love to hear what you'd like to hear us talk about. You always have our ear.
Yeah, give us.
Sorry, I couldn't resist it.
If this video doesn't work, Kevin just grabbed his Yoda ear on his Santa hat, okay?
We don't really care about what you say. I just wanted to make that joke.
We do care. I care. Kevin might not care. You already heard Kevin. He insulted his kid's karate instructor.
No, I didn't insult him, but I do deep down want to beat the crap out of him. It's not true.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and be on the lookout for 2022's next episodes. See ya.